Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be going to one of those places that is really common, right?
That's right. We're going to the hair salon.
The hair salon, or maybe also called a barber shop.
I guess in this case, it's a barber shop because it's a man who's getting his haircut.
Okay, so before we see what happens in this barber shop, let's take a look at some of the vocabulary we might encounter in
Vocabulary preview.
Okay, we're going to look at two words that you'll hear in this dialogue. And the first one is trim.
Trim.
Dialogue.
A trim.
All right, so when you trim something.
You cut just a little bit of it.
All right, so if I go to the hair salon to get a trim,
you are going to cut only a little bit of your hair. You're not going to change the style and make it look different.
Okay, so a trim.
Mm-hmm. And I think here we've seen that it can be a verb and a noun, right?
So I'm going to get a trim?
Yes.
Or I want you to trim my hair.
That's right.
All right. And what about our next word?
Fancy.
So fancy. Now, we know that this word maybe is related to something like luxury.
Or formal or something like that.
Right. But in this case or in this context, we're going to be using it a little bit different.
That's right. Here in this dialogue, we'll hear nothing too fancy.
Or nothing too complicated.
Nothing too different.
Okay. So we don't want anything too fancy.
All right. But with these two words in mind, I think we're ready to listen to the dialogue.
Hello there. Come on in. Don't just stand there. Come and take a seat.
Okay. Well, I just want to trim, nothing too fancy.
Oh my gosh. Your hair is amazing. So silky. So shiny. I am gonna work my magic on your hair. You hear me? You are gonna look like $1,000,000.
Okay. Can you make sure my sideburns are even and you just take a little off the top?
Don't you worry. I'll take care of everything. Oh my god. I just love your curly hair. It's so fluffy and cute. You should totally let it grow out. An afro would look great on you.
No.
Other example.
Okay, but you are going to be my masterpiece.
So I think maybe his haircut is not quite what he expected.
I think he trusted the stylist a little bit too much.
I think the stylist had too many Red Bulls or something. He was
Maybe.
very hyper.
Maybe that was his problem.
All right, so why don't we take a look now at some of the language that we saw in...
Language takeaway.
So I guess the stylist really thought this guy had nice hair, right?
Yeah, we heard how he described his hair.
He said it was so silky.
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 All right, so we know the word silk, a material, a very soft and smooth material.
Yeah. And when something is silky, it's very soft and smooth.
All right, so silky hair.
Or silky skin.
All right, so silky. So he said he had silky and shiny hair.
Shiny.
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 All right, so we know what shiny is.
Do we?
Yes, we do.
Okay, what?
So something that is shiny is you can see yourself in it. Gold is shiny.
Or silver is shiny.
All right. Or if you look in the back of a CD, it's shiny.
Yeah, so the light bounces off things that are shiny.
All right. Now, getting into more hairstyle vocabulary, he wanted to make sure that his were even.
Sideburns.
All right. So,
All right, well, sideburns are things that men have, right?
all right. Women don't have sideburns.
No.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a beard, and it's the hair that grows on your cheeks near
Vocabulary
your ears.
preview.
Okay. Those are your sideburns.
Yes.
And now also the hairstylist suggested that he should let his hair grow out.
Grow out.
Grow out.
Let your hair grow out.
All right. So what does that mean exactly?
Let your hair get longer.
So you can say let your hair grow, but I guess it's more common to hear let your hair grow out.
Well, maybe it just means something a little bit different. If
All
I
right.
let my hair grow, I might let it grow a little bit. Might get a little bit longer. But if I let my hair grow out, maybe it's short now and I'll let it get really long. So to let your hair grow out is to really change the length.
All right. Very good. So let your hair grow out. And our last word on language takeaway today, afro.
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 So if this guy let his curly hair grow out, he would have
An afro, right? So now this hairstyle was very popular in the 70s.
That's right. It's like a big, round, curly, fluffy ball of hair.
Exactly. So that's an afro.
We'll post some pictures on the website for you to get a clear idea of what this looks like.
All right. So I think now we are ready to listen to our dialogue for the second time, and then we'll come back and look at some phrases.
Hello there. Come on in. Don't just stand there. Come and take a seat.
Okay. Well, I just want a trim, nothing too fancy.
Oh my gosh. Your hair is amazing. So silky, so shiny. I am going to work my magic on your hair. You hear me? You are going to look like $1,000,000.
Okay. Can you make sure my sideburns are even and you just take a little off the top?
Don't you worry, I'll take care of everything. Oh my god, I just love your curly hair. It's so fluffy and cute. You should totally let it grow out. An afro would look great on you. But you're going to be my masterpiece.
So we have some phrases here that you might hear in a hair salon or in a barber shop. So why don't we look at those now in Fluency Builder?
Fluency Builder.
The hairstylist said,
Don't just stand there.
all right, don't just stand there.
So this is an interesting phrase, Marco. It's made up of really simple words, right?
Right, but actually those words make it in order that's a little bit different.
So why don't we hear a few examples to help us understand how to use this phrase?
Example 1.
Don't just stand there. Help me take these boxes into the house.
Example 2. The house is on fire! Don't just stand there! Call the fire department! Example 3.
Don't just stand there in the rain. Come inside.
So basically we can understand that if somebody tells you don't just stand there, they are expecting you to do something.
We might use this phrase when somebody is not doing what we think they should do.
Okay, when action is required.
Exactly.
Okay, so why don't we move on to our next phrase now?
Look like $1,000,000.
You look like $1,000,000.
So when someone looks like $1,000,000, they look,
Really good.
yeah.
So that is a very common way of just saying you look very good. Or something looks like $1,000,000.
So it can be for a person or a thing, right?
Exactly.
And our final phrase, and this one is really common in barber shops. Take a little off the top.
Take a little off the top.
Take a little off the top.
So that basically means cut a little bit on top.
Exactly.
And now, can I say take a little off the sides?
Yeah, you can say that as well.
All right, so take a little off the top, take a little off the sides.
Okay, so with
Vocabulary
all this
preview.
great hair cutting language, why don't we listen to our dialogue one last time?
Hello there. Come on in. Don't just stand there. Come and take a seat.
Okay. Well, I just want a trim, nothing too fancy.
Oh my gosh, your hair is amazing. So silky, so shiny. I am gonna work my magic on your hair. You hear me? You are gonna look like $1,000,000.
Okay. Can you make sure my sideburns are even and you just take a little off the top?
Don't you worry, I'll take care of everything. Oh my god, I just love your curly hair. It's so fluffy and cute. You should totally let it grow out. An afro would look great on you, but you are going to be my masterpiece.
All right, so now talking about hairstyles and different types of hair, there are some interesting ones that maybe aren't so fashionable anymore, right?
Actually, English has a lot of really cool words to describe haircuts.
So let's start with a couple of them. For example, a mullet.
A mullet. So this is when your hair is really short on top and really long in the back.
Right, so the sides and the top part are really short, but in the back you have long hair.
Yeah, in Canada we call that a shorty long back.
Shorty long back.
Yeah. We also call it hockey hair,
Hockey hair.
or even all business up front, all party behind.
Canadians are obviously very into this hairstyle.
It's unfortunately true.
All right, we also have, for example, a mohawk.
Popular amongst the punk rock kids.
Exactly. So you shave your head on the sides,
Yeah.
but you leave a little like stripe of long hair
Of
on top.
sticking up long hair.
Okay, and that's a mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
What about a flat top?
Oh, popular with law enforcement agents and serial killers.
So basically, it's short hair on the sides.
And short and flat hair on the top.
Right. So
Kind
your
of looks
hair.
like a box.
Right. It's flat on
Kind of
top.
like your haircut.
I do not have a flat top for all of you out there. But I did used to have a crew cut.
Oh,
A crew cut.
yeah, like an army haircut.
Right. So very short on the sides and a little bit long on top.
Yeah. Okay. And our last one, my actual personal least favorite haircut,
Dreadlocks.
dreadlocks.
All right. So dreadlocks are knots of hair, right?
Yeah. It looks like you haven't washed your hair in about 7 years.
Right. Those are dreadlocks. Very popular among Rastafarians.
Sure.
And
Or like young hippie kids.
yeah, hippies, right? Very good. So what about in your countries? What different hairstyles are popular there? I know that Japanese hairstyles are really cool.
That's right. Japanese haircuts can be pretty awesome.
Right. So tell us all about it. Come to our website, post some pictures. And also, if you have any questions or doubts, let us know.
Well, thanks for downloading this lesson, you guys. And until next time, goodbye.
Other example. Second paragraph in the dialogue.
Okay, so imagine this. You're going to get a haircut, but this time you're not going to just mumble like, shorter please, and just hope for the best.
Yeah.
You're going to walk in confident,
Yeah.
armed with a lingo, ready to get the exact style you want.
Yeah.
Think of this deep dive as like your crash course in barbershop banter.
I like it.
We're going to decode all those hair salon terms and phrases that maybe have had you feeling a little lost in the past.
I think what's fascinating about all this is that it's not just a list of words, It's like we're stepping into this whole other subculture.
Yeah.
Barbershops have got their own language,
Totally.
their own little rituals,
Yes.
even a sense of humor you won't find anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. And our source material for this deep dive is this really fun lesson from English Pod.
Oh, nice.
And it's not a boring textbook. It's more like they're giving us this secret decoder ring for the world of haircuts.
Exactly. And think about it.
Yeah.
Even if you're someone who just buzzes it all off at home,
Right.
this is still really useful knowledge, Like, you'll understand movie scenes set in barbershops so much better.
For sure.
You'll get those cultural references.
Yes.
Vocabulary
Maybe even
preview.
pick up on some social cues you wouldn't have noticed before.
Okay, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So the source material starts us off with some really basic terms.
Okay.
But, we're giving that deep dive spin, right?
Of course. Gonna have that.
Like the word trim?
Oh, yeah. We all know what a trim is, right?
Right.
But at the barbershop, it takes on this special meaning.
Totally.
It's about maintaining a style, not completely changing it up.
Yes,
Dialogue.
that's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's like the difference between tending a garden versus landscaping like a whole yard.
That's a good analogy.
A trim is like keeping things neat, not starting over.
Yeah, I like that.
And then there's fancy. Now, we're not talking about fancy dresses
Right.
or parties here.
No.
In a barbershop, fancy means something like a little more elaborate,
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah. You don't want too much going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you tell your barber nothing too fancy,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like saying just a regular at your coffee shop.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Keeps things simple, avoids any unexpected surprises.
Which reminds me, speaking of surprises,
Yeah.
remember that anecdote in the source material about that over-enthusiastic hairstylist?
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
The stylist who loved the client's hair so much
No.
that they suggested an afro even though the client just wanted a trim.
I can just imagine the look on that client's face.
I know.
It's perfect, though. It shows how these words are really used
Yeah.
in these conversations.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about conversation, let's move on to some of those descriptive terms you might hear at the barbershop.
Okay.
Like the source mentions silky and shiny.
Ooh, those words just paint such a vivid picture in my mind.
Right.
We all know what silky and shiny mean, but when you apply them to hair, they become really evocative.
It's like you can almost feel the texture just by hearing those words.
I know, exactly.
And there's sideburns, that little patch of hair that can totally change a person's look.
It's funny how sideburns are often seen as a purely male thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the way you style them can make such a difference.
For sure.
From neatly trimmed to full-on mutton chops.
Oh, yeah.
But with more people breaking away from traditional gender norms, I wonder if we'll start seeing more women rocking sideburns too.
That is a really interesting question.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see those lines blurring even more in the future.
Yeah.
Now, another term the source material brings up is grow out,
Oh,
meaning letting your hair get longer.
Right. But it's not just about letting it grow wild.
No.
The source points out there's a difference between grow and grow out.
Right.
Like subtle but important.
Grow out has that more deliberate feel to it, you know? Like
Yeah.
you're really committing to a longer style.
It's like you're taking charge of your hair's destiny.
I love that.
Guiding it towards a specific look.
Yeah, you're not just letting nature take its course.
Exactly. It's a choice to embrace a new length and potentially a whole new style.
And you know, thinking about it,
Yeah.
this actually connects back to that anecdote about the enthusiastic stylist. They were trying to convince the client to grow out their hair for that magnificent
Dialogue.
afro.
It's all coming together.
I know, right?
Now, I'm excited to get into some iconic hairstyles because the source mentions a few that are instantly recognizable.
Oh, yeah.
Like the afro immediately takes you back
Totally.
to a specific time period.
Yeah.
A whole cultural movement.
It's such a powerful symbol of identity,
Yeah.
heritage.
Yes.
And it's so fascinating to see how its popularity has surged in recent years.
It's more than just a hairstyle, isn't it?
It really is.
It's a statement
Mm-hmm.
about embracing natural hair textures, celebrating Black identity.
Especially in a world that often pushes those Eurocentric beauty standards.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you've got the mullet, which the source so perfectly describes as business in the front, party in the back.
I think we've all seen a mullet,
Probably.
or maybe even sported one ourselves.
Maybe in a past life.
At some point.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's some interesting mullet stories out there.
Oh, I'm sure there are.
And how about the mohawk? More than just like a punk rock symbol, right?
Oh, yeah.
It actually has a long history, dating back to ancient warriors in certain cultures.
It's a hairstyle that demands attention.
Yeah, it's bold, it's edgy, and it definitely makes a statement.
Now, what about the flat top? I've always associated that with the military or law enforcement.
That's an interesting observation.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's that like structured, disciplined look of the flat top
B.
that made it popular in those fields. It definitely projects a certain image.
It does, and speaking of classic looks, what about the crew cut?
The crew cut is timeless.
Yeah.
It's clean cut,
Low maintenance.
low maintenance, always looks sharp. It's a popular choice for athletes, people in the military, anyone who wants like a no-fuss hairstyle.
And let's not forget about dreadlocks, which are often associated with Rastafarian culture,
Right.
but can be worn for all sorts of reasons, from personal style to spiritual beliefs.
Which brings us to a really important point.
Yeah.
Hairstyles can hold deep cultural meaning. They're not just about aesthetics.
Vocabulary preview.
They're about identity, expression, belonging.
It's a reminder that we should be mindful and respectful of all the different ways people choose to express themselves through their hair.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From basic haircut terms to iconic hairstyles
Yeah.
and their cultural significance.
Yeah.
But our English pod lesson also gives us some great phrases that you might actually hear at the barbershop.
Oh, yeah.
Or even use yourself if you're feeling brave.
Oh, I like that.
Like, don't just stand there.
Which might sound bossy,
Right.
but in the context of a barbershop,
Yeah.
it's really just a playful way of welcoming someone in.
It's like saying, come on in, let's get started.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure we've all been in situations where someone's said that to us.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe when we were hesitating
Yeah.
or not sure what to do next.
Yep. It's a phrase that goes way beyond the barbershop.
For sure.
And how about this classic? You look like $1,000,000.
Ooh, now that's a compliment you always want to hear.
Right.
It's interesting how we use money terms to express value in other ways too. Like worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, I love that.
Really emphasizes how good something is.
It does.
And of course, no barbershop experience would be complete without the classic, take a little off the top.
Oh, it's practically a ritual.
It is.
You go to the barbershop, you gotta hear that.
You gotta hear that.
And of course, you can always say, take a little off the sides, too.
Yes.
These are simple phrases, but they get the point across.
So we've learned a whole new way to think about hair and its social significance.
We have.
But this deep dive wouldn't be complete without a global perspective. The source material invites listeners to share their own culture's hairstyles.
I like that.
It's a reminder that there's a whole world of hair traditions out there.
A whole world.
And it's such a fascinating topic for further exploration, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what hairstyles are considered fashionable in different parts of the world? What cultural meanings do they hold? What stories do they tell?
Makes you think.
It really does.
Like, what's the future of hairstyles, you know?
Yes.
What new trends might emerge? How will technology and social media influence our choices?
Right. We've come a long way from the simple trim to this whole world of hair
Dialogue.
expression.
That's for sure.
But for now, let's take a quick pause to gather our thoughts.
Okay.
We'll be back soon to wrap things up with some final reflections, provocative questions, and maybe even a few more hair-raising anecdotes.
Sounds good. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of hair. I don't know about you, but I'm really enjoying this journey through like vocabulary, iconic styles, the whole culture of barbershops.
Me too. It's amazing how much we can learn from something as seemingly simple as like a haircut.
I know, right?
We've gone from basic terms like trim and fancy
Yeah.
to exploring iconic styles like the afro and the mohawk.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're about to take a trip around the world to explore even more fascinating hairstyles.
Oh, cool.
Our source material touched on this briefly,
Yeah.
encouraging listeners to share their own culture's hairstyles.
Yeah, I like that.
It's a great reminder that hair is
Other
a
example.
universal form of expression.
It really is.
But the way people style it can vary so widely from culture to culture.
Totally.
So before we get back to those barbershop phrases, let's take a little detour
Okay.
and explore some of those global hair trends.
I'm game.
What are some of the most interesting or unique hairstyles you've come across in your research?
Well, one that immediately comes to mind is the cornrow style.
Oh, yeah.
Originated in Africa
Mm-hmm.
and has been adopted by people from various cultures around the world.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful and intricate style. It involves braiding the hair close to the scalp to create those raised rows.
Cornrows are definitely iconic.
They are.
I've seen them worn in so many different ways,
Mhm.
from simple and practical to like elaborate and artistic.
Totally.
Sometimes they're even adorned with beads or shells,
Oh, wow.
which adds another layer of cultural significance.
Right. And speaking of hairstyles with a rich history, have you ever heard of the Q hairstyle?
The Q. Yeah,
It was traditionally worn by men in China.
it's that long braid or ponytail that was worn down the back, right?
That's it.
I remember learning about it in history class.
Uh-huh.
Wasn't it a symbol of loyalty to the ruling dynasty?
That's right. It was considered a sign of manhood and loyalty.
Vocabulary
to the
preview?
emperor.
It's amazing how a hairstyle can carry so much cultural and political weight.
It really is. It shows how hairstyles can be so much more than just a matter of personal preference.
For sure.
They can reflect social norms, political ideologies,
Right.
even religious beliefs.
Absolutely. And when it comes to religious beliefs,
Yeah.
we can't forget about the turban worn by Sikh men.
Oh, of course.
It's a really distinctive head covering
Mm-hmm.
that holds such
Dialogue.
deep religious and cultural significance.
For sure, it's a beautiful example of how hair can be a powerful form of self-expression,
Yeah.
a way to connect with one's community and heritage.
And it's not just limited to traditional or religious styles either.
Right.
We're seeing so much creativity and innovation in hairstyles today,
Mm-hmm.
with people blending cultural influences, experimenting with colors and textures,
Yeah.
really pushing the boundaries of what's considered normal.
It really does feel like hair has become its own art form.
It does.
And with social media, people are sharing their unique styles
Hmm.
and inspiring others from all over the world.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see how something as simple as hair can connect people across cultures and continents.
It really is a reminder that despite our differences,
Yeah.
we share this common desire for self-expression and a sense of belonging.
Okay, so we've taken this whirlwind tour of global hair trends.
We have.
But let's get back to our English pod lesson
Okay,
and see what other gems of barbershop wisdom we can uncover.
let's dive back in.
What else stood out to you in the source material?
Well, beyond the specific hairstyles and vocabulary,
Yeah.
I was really struck by the overall tone and atmosphere of the barbershop interactions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a place where people can relax, chat, maybe even share a laugh.
It's like a little community hub,
I love that.
a place where you can catch up on the latest gossip
Yeah.
or just shoot the breeze with your barber.
Yeah. You know, I remember going to the barbershop with my dad when I was a kid. And it
Yeah.
always felt like this really warm, welcoming space.
I love that. And the language used in barbershops reflects that casual, friendly atmosphere.
It really does. Remember that phrase, don't just stand there.
Uh-huh.
Sounds like an order, but it's really just a playful way to invite someone in.
It's like saying, come on in, make yourself at home.
Exactly, and then you've got the classic, you look like $1,000,000.
Such a heartwarming compliment.
It is.
A way to make someone feel good about themselves.
And barbershops are also places where people can feel comfortable being themselves.
Yeah.
Maybe even letting their guard down a little.
Okay, it's like a safe space where you can be honest about your hair woes, experiment with new styles, maybe even get a little advice from your barber.
It's a really unique relationship
Yeah.
built on trust
Yes.
and this shared understanding of the importance of looking and feeling your best.
It's a relationship that's been around for centuries. You know,
It has.
barbershops have always been more than just places to get a haircut.
Right.
They're social spaces, community gathering spots,
Mm-hmm.
even cultural institutions.
I think that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning new words or identifying different hairstyles.
Right.
It's about understanding the deeper social and cultural significance of hair
Mm-hmm.
and the role it plays in our lives.
So we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from basic haircut vocabulary to global hair trends
Mm-hmm.
and the unique social dynamics of the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
We have even touched on the future of hairstyles
Yeah.
and how technology might shape our choices.
But before we get carried away with all the possibilities,
Right.
let's take a quick pause to gather our thoughts
Okay.
and prepare for the grand finale of this deep dive.
I'm ready.
We'll be back soon with some final reflections, thought-provoking questions,
Okay.
maybe even a few more hair-raising anecdotes.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been on quite the journey through the world of hair, from the lingo of the barbershop to the cultural significance of like different styles across the globe.
It's amazing how something we often just take for granted
I know. Right?
can be so rich with meaning and history.
Absolutely. We've learned so much from our English pod lesson.
Yeah.
But more importantly, it's like sparked all these interesting thoughts and questions.
And that's what makes a deep dive so rewarding.
It is.
It's not just about passively absorbing information.
Right.
It's about engaging with it,
Yeah.
making connections, letting your curiosity lead the way.
So for this final segment, let's step back from the specific details
Okay.
and think about the bigger picture. You know,
Yeah.
what are some of the key takeaways from this deep dive that our listeners should really hold on to?
Well, I think first and foremost,
Yeah.
we have to remember that hair is so much more than just a physical attribute.
Right.
It's this powerful form of self-expression.
Yes.
It's a reflection of our identity, a way to connect with our culture, our heritage.
It's like a visual language, isn't it?
Yeah, really.
We can communicate so much about who we are
Mm-hmm.
and what we believe in through our hairstyles.
Exactly. And I think this deep dive has really highlighted
Yeah.
how important it is to be mindful,
Yeah.
respectful of all the different ways
Yes.
people choose to style their hair.
It's about recognizing that there's no one right way to wear your hair and that every style has its own unique story,
Yeah.
significance, whether it's a sleek bob, a vibrant afro, intricate cornrows. Each hairstyle reflects a personal choice
Yeah,
and often, you know, a connection to a broader cultural identity.
absolutely. And we've also seen how these styles evolve over time.
Yeah.
Like, think about all the trends we've discussed.
Wait.
From those classic cuts like the crew cut, the bob, to more modern styles influenced by celebrities, social media, even technology.
It makes you wonder, what's next?
I know.
Will we see even more daring and experimental styles?
Right.
Will technology allow us to like change our hair color or texture instantly?
The possibilities really are endless.
They are.
It's an exciting time to be following all the hair trends, that's for sure.
It is.
But beyond the trends themselves, I think one of the most important takeaways from this deep dive has been that sense of community connection that we find in the barbershop.
That's so true. It's a reminder that even in our increasingly digital world, those face-to-face interactions are still so valuable.
They are.
You know, there's something special about those shared experiences
Yeah.
that bring people together. Remember that anecdote about the enthusiastic stylist who suggested the afro?
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't just about the hairstyle itself. It was about the interaction,
Yeah.
the connection between the stylist and the client.
That's such a great point. And the barbershop, with its unique blend of ritual, conversation, camaraderie, you know,
That's
it
it.
provides that perfect setting for those connections to really flourish.
Yeah.
It's a place where people can relax, be themselves, and connect with others over this shared experience.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with a final, like, thought-provoking question.
Okay.
You know, we've talked about how hairstyles can reflect our identity, our culture,
Mm-hmm.
even our beliefs. But what about the future? How do you think hairstyles will evolve in the coming years? What new trends will emerge? And how will those trends reflect, like, the changing social and cultural landscape?
It's a question that goes way beyond just hair, doesn't it?
It does.
It touches upon those broader themes of identity, expression, the ever-evolving nature of human connection.
So keep your eyes peeled, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to inspire the next big hairstyle trend.
You never know.
And if you do, don't forget to tell us all about it.
Please do.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of hair.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time, keep those locks looking sharp.